Coming soon to Arizona PBS.
Next time on the Great British Baking Show.
You will need to focus. Mind over batter.
It's Batter Week.
They're humongous.
With a very British challenge.
Those taste amazing.
And a Spanish showdown.
I've never had a churro. You've got 35 now.
To see whose batter
I'd have another one of them.
is better.
They are beautiful.
Oh, well done. You've cracked it.
Friday night at 8 on Arizona PBS.
From the Palazzo Vecchio in Italy, enjoy the always exciting Andrea Bocelli with maestro Zubin Mehta. And there's more, as host Chad Smith of the Red Hot Chili Peppers
We're gonna party. You ready?
visits Andrea's Tuscany home and tours the historic city of Florence. Look for Andrea Bocelli on Landmarks Live in Concert. A Great Performances special.
Friday night at 9 on Arizona PBS.
From the Cronkite Studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Former Sheriff Joe Arpaio will not face a jury, but instead a federal judge in his contempt of court trial. We bring you perspectives from the courthouse.
In the Supreme Court, one major decision about a border shooting. Our Washington Bureau brings you the latest on this ruling.
And new statistics on opioid overdoses following Governor Doug Ducey's executive order requiring medical professionals to release the data. How the epidemic is affecting our state.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Annika Walters.
And I'm Tyler Finger. Thank you for joining us. No jury despite a last-minute request this morning. Former Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio faced a federal judge today. The U.S. Supreme Court rejected the motion just hours before the criminal contempt trial began. The 8-day trial in Phoenix will determine whether Arpaio is guilty of misdemeanor contempt of court for disobeying a judge's order to stop traffic patrols targeting immigrants. During the lunch break today, here's what Joe Arpaio told reporters when asked if he'll testify.
Are you going to testify, Sheriff?
No comment. I got great lawyers.
I was in court today as opening statements got underway. No cameras are allowed inside the courtroom, but from what I noticed, the 85-year-old didn't appear to say a word during the morning session, as both the prosecution and defense laid out their cases. The prosecution says there's evidence that Arpaio knew about the judge's order, but, quote, thought he would get away with it, end quote. They say for 17 months, at least 170 illegal immigrants were transferred to federal authorities in violation of the order. Several times in their opening comments, they tried to use the former sheriff's own words against him. For Arpaio's defense team, it was the opposite, saying his 50-plus years in public service should speak for his character. They also say the judge's injunction was unclear and not definitive. The defense team says all he was doing was following the law, quote, as the law exists, end quote, and that he should be thanked for that. Arpaio's team was hopeful as the court recessed for lunch.
I believe that given the evidence that we will present and the cross-examination of the government's witnesses, it will show that the sheriff was never in contempt of any order, let alone in criminal contempt.
Tomorrow, Arpaio will be back in court. It's unclear if he'll take the stand in his own defense. His lawyers say they haven't decided that yet. Arpaio faces up to 6 months in prison if he is convicted.
The U.S. Supreme Court wrapped up its 2016 term today with a flurry of rulings related to a border issue. Cronkite News reporter Lowell Lilly was at the Supreme Court.
In the last day before their summer recess, the Supreme Court gave a second chance to a Mexican family whose son was shot by a U.S. Border Patrol agent in 2010. Sergio Adrian Hernandez Guerrera had been playing near the Texas-Mexico border with friends in 2010 when he was fatally shot by Border Patrol agent Jesus Mesa Jr. Hernandez's family sued Mesa in federal court, but the lower courts threw the case out, saying that the Constitution's protections did not apply to Hernandez as he was not a U.S. citizen and was standing in Mexico when he was killed. But the Supreme Court today said the lower courts must revisit the case. This case is reminiscent of a 2012 incident in Nogales, Mexico, where Border Patrol agent Lonnie Schwartz on the U.S. side of the border shot and killed 16-year-old Jose Antonio Elena Rodriguez on the Mexican side. The Rodriguez family sued the officer, but the case was pushed back several times and is now scheduled for hearing in Tucson on October 12th. It's not clear yet what effect the El Paso ruling today will have on the Nogales case later this year. Customs and Border Protection officials declined to comment on the ruling today. Outside the Supreme Court in Washington, Noelle Lilly, Cronkite News.
New information tonight into the number of opioid overdoses in our state. As Tyler Paley reports, this is the first time the state health department is releasing these weekly numbers.
Governor Doug Ducey issued the executive order requiring medical professionals to report opioid overdoses just over a week ago. The state health department released the numbers this morning. There were 191 suspected opioid overdoses in Arizona in just 1 week, and 15 of those were fatal. The report also shows 18 cases of newborns showing withdrawal symptoms. Emergency responders tried to prevent 102 overdoses by administering doses of naloxone. The state says it's working to train more than 700 first responders on how to use naloxone. Tyler Paley, Cronkite News.
Cronkite News is dedicated to covering the opioid crisis in Arizona and nationwide. Our documentary, Hooked RX, From Prescription to Addiction, highlights the problem of painkillers here in our state. You can watch the documentary and find resources for getting help online at hookedrx.org.
Senate Republicans have drafted a new health care bill, and President Trump is making calls and appearing on Fox News to drum up support.
Healthcare is a very complicated subject from the standpoint that you move it this way and this group doesn't like it. You move it a little bit over here. You have a very narrow path. And honestly, nobody can be totally happy.
The Congressional Budget Office released its audit of the Senate health care bill and finds 22 million more people would be uninsured by 2026 than under current legislation. Another concern, cuts to Obamacare's Medicaid expansion. Cronkite News reporter Holly Bernstein found there's negative feedback here in the Valley.
Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton and a coalition of community organizations representing the disability community, seniors, children, low-income families, and others spoke at a press conference today to address the broader issue of the proposed healthcare reform bill. The group believes the American Health Care Act bill will change benefits like maternity treatment and hospital care, and eliminate subsidies after 2019 and make deep cuts to Medicaid. Greg Stanton says this bill is an all-out assault on the people of Arizona. Those who rely on their current coverage also spoke. Aiden Ringo is a 13-year-old with cerebral palsy who was on Medicare. He says he felt, quote, absolute rage when he heard about the bill.
It's not right. It's not American. It's not. None of those senators, I don't think, even know what they're doing because it's not right.
It changes our entire life. He receives hours of habilitation in home, that would be cut completely. I would have to quit my job because the assistance we get with the at-home care so that I can work wouldn't be there anymore.
According to National Health Law Program done by Georgetown University Center for Children and Families, some potential impacts of the proposed legislation include 465,000 Arizonans left without health insurance, the end of Medicaid expansion of 223,000 low-income Arizonans, and the loss of 7,600 jobs. In the Broadcast Center, Holly Bernstein, Cronkite News.
The 85th Annual Mayors Conference continues today in Miami, Florida. Mayors from across the country are discussing health care, climate change, immigration, and President Trump. Mesa Mayor John Giles expressed his opinions on the new health care bill.
And if we fumble this, it could be the end of the Republican Party. If people, see us take something that is flawed, like Obamacare, and think that the way to fix that is to make it worse, then I'm not sure what we have to offer as a party.
Also at the conference, more than 300 mayors pledged to honor the commitments of the Paris Climate Accord, despite President Trump's decision to exit the agreement.
2 years ago today, the Supreme Court legalized same-sex marriage across the country. And with Pride Month coming to a close, people are marching to show their continued support of LGBTQ rights. Arizona became the 31st state to legalize same-sex marriage back in October of 2014 and held a Pride Festival in April of this year.
More career opportunities are coming for engineers right here in the Valley.
Coming up on Cronkite News, how many jobs Boeing plans to bring to Arizona and how soon.
And job training for people before they're in college. We'll tell you how one clinic is helping teens learn more about becoming a veterinarian.
I think I finally found my hallelujah. I've been waiting for this moment all my life now. All my dreams are coming true, yeah. I've been waiting for this moment. It's good to be alive right about now. Right about now.
Officially from 36, and he hooks it in. Arizona State wins. Keeping one deep, and it is caught. Jalen Strong. Do you believe it?
Các nhà lãnh đạo Việt Nam mà nói rằng là chúng tôi sẵn sàng hy sinh đến cái người dân Việt Nam cuối cùng. Thực sự mà nói thì người dân không biết được, miền Bắc không có thể ý thức một cách đầy đủ rằng đằng sau những cái tuyên bố mà cao cả đấy là sự hy sinh của chính họ.
Arizona voters have succeeded in redrawing nonpartisan political lines for U.S. House seats. Based on an analysis of district inequities across the nation, Arizona ranks 4th out of 43 states in the 2016 election in measuring unequal representation. Republicans won 5 of 9 congressional seats last year, a result that largely mirrors the split between Democrat and Republican votes.
Boeing has announced plans to transfer jobs from Seattle to the Valley over the next 2 to 3 years. Mesa has housed a Boeing facility for over 3 decades and currently has 3,700 employees. The company has not announced exactly how many jobs will move here, but representatives from the Mesa location are optimistic about the move.
Many people go to shelters to rescue animals, but now they can participate in a hands-on learning experience. Last week, the Arizona Humane Society held a Victory Vets Camp for teens, and Cronkite News reporter Madison Connor was there to get a glimpse of the veterinary field.
Victory Vets is a week-long career discovery program for teenagers from 13 to 17. The camp is more than just fun and games. Participants learn exactly what it takes to succeed in the animal world.
They start with learning about veterinary medicine, how to get into the field, what that truly entails, and then interacting in some age-appropriate activities. So we do a little bit of suturing, we watch live surgeries, we make all types of different anatomy models for them to get kind of that hands-on interaction with every different aspect of animal science.
Participants also get the chance to dissect organs, to learn about animal anatomy, and how to properly handle pets. The main goal of the camp is to inspire the campers to continue learning and strengthen those science skills.
We want to inspire kids within our own community, especially here locally around the shelter, to pursue these opportunities. And being that they are STEM-based, they also serve as a supplementary source for anything they might already be learning in school.
As well as getting
hands-on STEM education through veterinary medicine, they also get plenty of time with the animals in the shelter.
While some kids attend just for the animal interaction, one participant is already planning her future as a vet, thanks to attending the camp last year and returning again for this session.
Leaning more towards either what they do here, which is just like a spay-neuter clinic and on occasion a special surgery, or equine medicine.
Between surgeries, dissections, and properly handling pets, these kids are putting their knowledge to the test this summer. In Phoenix, I'm Madison Connor, Cronkite News.
While the Victory Vets Camp is over, there are still opportunities to get involved with animal education. To learn more, go to www.azhumane.org. It's not just medical professionals paying it forward, athletes are too.
Coming up on Cronkite News, how a former Sun Devil is working with young athletes to pass on his love for football.
Our high today, 111, but we are headed for a slight cool down. Your full 7-day forecast coming up.
Heaven knows you're a dreamer. Don't hide it from anyone. Don't hide it from anyone. Hey, would you believe me if I said we are here for a reason now? This is our life. This is what counts. This is for us. I will go anywhere for you.
Combat is like crack cocaine. It's an enormous high, but it has enormous costs. And I think that we make a big mistake if we say, oh, well, war is hell. We all know the war is hell story. It is, but there's an enormously exhilarating part of it.
Two parts of Arizona have been facing a sudden water shortage since last week. The heat wave increased water consumption in Cords Lakes, leaving the water supply 32% full. In an effort to conserve, the community is continuing to shut down its water supply from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. every night. Meanwhile, Civicue in Navajo County is experiencing a major water shortage as well. Failed pumps have left the water supply at just 5% of its normal levels.
Governor Doug Ducey declares a state of emergency as wildfires continue to tear through parts of Arizona. The declaration authorizes a $200,000 emergency funding request from the State Emergency Council, which would go to the Arizona Department of Forestry and Fire Management. And while firefighters continue to put out the fires, drones are slowing them down. Unauthorized drones are forcing fire teams to ground their aircrafts. Officials worry that the drones will get sucked in the aircraft's engine, causing malfunctions and may lead to a crash.
It looks like we might finally see the end of the excessive heat warning.
But it's still going to be hot. Our weather reporter Emily Bloom gives you this week's forecast.
We are currently sitting at 108 degrees, sunny skies and calm winds. Now our high today of 111 still well above that seasonal average of 106, but fortunately well below that record of 122 set back in 1990. Taking a look across the state, we have got 90 at the Grand Canyon, 113 in Lake Havasu, 84 in Cholo, and 106 down in Tucson. Now here in the valley, we are all still sitting well into those triple-digit temperatures, but as we head into the late hours tonight, around midnight, we can expect them to all drop into the high 90s. Now also tonight at around 8 p.m., this excessive heat warning that we have been under for well over a week now will be lifted. That is because this area of high pressure that has been sitting at the south of our state will slowly move into the north of Mexico over the next couple of days. As that happens, cooler and drier air will have the opportunity to make its way into our state, bringing those temperatures down just a couple of degrees. So what that means for your week ahead, we will drop below 110 by Wednesday. It's looking to stay that way until Saturday, when we'll bounce back up just a couple of degrees. For Cronkite Weather, I'm Emily Bloom.
Former ASU football player Mike Carney had a reputation as a bruising lead blocker in college football. After playing for the Sun Devils from 2000 to 2002, he entered the NFL and had a successful 7-year career. Now Carney takes on the selfless lessons he learned in the gridiron to his adopted community in Orange County, California. Cronkite News Los Angeles reporter Andrea Boyd reports.
Despite being an all-pro fullback for the St. Louis Rams and New Orleans Saints, Mike Carney figured out at the beginning of his football career that he needed and wanted to make a difference when his playing days were over.
There's such a high percentage of former players upon leaving the game that don't do well. And I never wanted to be one of those guys.
And he wasn't. He took advantage of a 4-day broadcasting crash course offered by the NFL and parlayed that into a job as an analyst for Fox Sports West's Prep Zone.
I love high school football. And so looking at the grand scheme of things, knowing that I had no experience in broadcasting, heading into the broadcast boot camp and even coming out of it, that was the place to start.
And that was just the beginning of Carney's post-NFL successes, which includes mentoring young athletes.
I didn't have somebody to really kind of show me the way or to be like that person that I could go to and ask questions to. So I want to take that and be positive and impact young people's lives.
Carney also carried his passion for mentoring to current players in the NFL. Today, he works as a running back coach and consultant for future NFL prospects at Exos, a preparatory program for the NFL Combine.
And you're with guys that are like-minded. This is a dream for them too. So you're able to, I always tell them, I want you to experience the same thing I did and more. And how cool it is to be able to kind of pay it forward and pass that on to them.
And if he is not busy enough, he is an investor with his wife in residential properties.
Being able to invest in real estate is something that I felt was going to be beneficial for me in building a bridge, walking across that bridge and into the next phase of my life.
But like many 30-somethings that didn't play professional sports, Carney does have his challenges.
The thing I'm most passionate about is purpose. Looking to impact lives, looking to impact more people's lives.
In Los Angeles, Andrea Boyd for Cronkite News.
Carney is still tethered to the NFL as a uniform compliance inspector for the Los Angeles Rams. It's his job to make sure players' uniforms abide by NFL regulations on game day.
Paralympic athletes overcome great odds to play the sports they love.
Coming up on Cronkite News, how one sprinter wouldn't let her disability prevent her from becoming the best.
Fascinating.
You know, sometimes I wish I wasn't so beloved.
Can't you see? Little girl got a hold on me like wow. Baby, I'm howling for you.
It's literally one for the history books.
Enjoy.
What are you doing?
Possibilities. Your day is filled with them.
Reach up, energy in the fingertips, collapse. TV, play Downton Abbey.
And PBS helps everyone discover theirs. Anytime, anywhere.
Up in the sky, you can see it.
PBS, we're with you for life.
The biggest worldwide event for Paralympic athletes takes place in London next month. Cronkite News Los Angeles reporter Andy Krause met athlete Scout Bassett, who will be competing in the 100-meter run and long jump.
World-class athletes and stories of personal triumph abound at the U.S. Paralympics Track and Field National Championships. One of the most striking is the one that belongs to 4'9" sprinter and long jumper Scout Bassett.
When I was an infant, I was involved in a fire, and that's how I lost my right leg. This took place in Nanjing, China, and shortly after that I was left on the street and later found and grew up in an orphanage for 7 years.
Bassett didn't even take her first steps until she was 6 years old, when she received a makeshift prosthesis constructed primarily of leather belt straps and masking tape. She was adopted by an American couple from Michigan a year later and ran for the first time when she was 14.
It was one of the hardest days of my life because up to that point, I was a very shy, reclusive, timid young girl, and I was really ashamed to be an amputee. And so I always wore pants and hid my prosthetic. So to get over that barrier was such a huge moment for me, and I realized that when I was out there running, I didn't feel disabled. I didn't feel like an amputee.
An even bigger revelation came during her sophomore year at UCLA when she discovered the Paralympics.
I said, that's what I want to do. I want to be the best, I want to compete with the very best, and I want to show the world what I'm made of.
She has broken the American record multiple times, the world record. I mean, we've gone to Rio, and the Olympics.
And her influence extends far beyond the track. Bassett has been a spokeswoman for the Challenged Athletes Foundation for almost 10 years and works with younger disabled athletes to help them realize their full potential.
We're going to remember her days on the track, but we're going to really remember what she did as a humanitarian and what she does in life, beyond the track world.
Bassett will compete in the Paralympic World Championships in London next month after taking home the gold medal in the 100-meter dash at the U.S. Nationals. She hopes to continue her quest for her first Olympic medal at the 2020 Games in Tokyo.
That was Andy Krause reporting from our Los Angeles bureau. Scout travels all over the world competing and has been able to carve out a career as a full-time athlete and Goodwill ambassador.
Cronkite News is proud to be the news division of Arizona PBS. Here's what's coming up on Arizona Horizon and PBS NewsHour.
On the next Arizona Horizon, our week-long look at the Senate GOP healthcare bill begins with a new AARP poll showing a deep divide over healthcare policies. On the next Arizona Horizon.
I'm Hari Srinivasan. On the next NewsHour, Judy Woodruff's exclusive interview with billionaire Warren Buffett. That's Monday on the PBS NewsHour.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.
What does it mean to be split between two cultures?
When I first came here, I didn't want to be in an all-girls Catholic school.
One nation, under God.
If I still lived in Syria, I would have been a completely different person. I don't really think about my past anymore. I just live here now in the present.
Dahlia's Other Country, only on POV.
Tonight at 8 on Arizona PBS. Explore new ideas and new worlds here on Arizona PBS, a community service of Arizona State University.
Arizona PBS provides great musical performances all year long, and now we have some of the best seats to see your favorite acts live and in concert. Arizona PBS Box Office presents a backstage pass to meet world-class performers. Arizona PBS Box Office presents a chance to see exciting performances before they sell out. This month, Arizona PBS Box Office presents Grammy Award-winning Diana Krall, performing in concert at Phoenix Symphony Hall on Wednesday, August 9th.
Coming up next on Arizona PBS, Life and World.
Hi, I'm Charlie Rose. As part of the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication at ASU, Arizona PBS is providing a state-of-the-art venue for the next generation of journalists. From newsrooms in Washington, Los Angeles, and here in Phoenix, students engage in real-time, real-world news reporting, broadcast production, and online innovation. The Cronkite School and Arizona PBS working together in new ways to bridge the classroom to the community in the digital age.
On Masterpiece Mystery.
Keep your wits about you, Jane. You'll be all right.
Police, nobody move! What the hell's going on?
Jane, you are not thinking this through.
Oh, for God's sake!
I made a promise that you pin a hit and run on an innocent man.
Prime Suspect, Tennyson on Masterpiece Mystery.
Sunday night at 9 on Arizona PBS. Coming soon to Arizona PBS.
On Masterpiece.
There's a price to be paid for everything taken from its rightful owner.
Why has this just got scarlet fever?